around, in the lifetime of this government, will they conduct a review of all COVID deaths that took place in the nursing homes during the pandemic, particularly the first 14 to 15 months. More than 53% of all deaths took place in that environment, and I would like to obviously have a public inquiry in relation to this.
Thank you very much, Deputy, and can I again express my sympathy for all those who lost loved ones, friends and family during the pandemic, including, as you rightly say, the many people who lost their lives who were residents of nursing homes at that time. Since the start of the pandemic, the national response has continued to evolve to take account of emerging evidence and learnings nationally and internationally. And throughout this, there has been a very specific focus on older people, including those in nursing homes, and ensuring that the best possible protections are in place. Very significant supports were put in place for nursing homes, and the situation at both a national and a local level has obviously been kept under ongoing and very active review. As part of the COVID response, an independent nursing home expert panel was established very early in the pandemic. This was looking at the management of COVID-19 in nursing homes and was to provide and did provide real-time learnings and recommendations to inform the ongoing response. The expert panel reported to me in August of 2020. Very significant progress has been made and investment has been made in implementing its recommendations. I have stated previously, directly to the question you're asking, that I believe that a review of the management of the impact of COVID-19 in nursing homes is warranted. I've also said that I am aware that a review process, if done in the wrong way, will become very lengthy, very legalistic, and ultimately what matters here, which is that the families get the answers to the reasonable questions that they are asking, that doesn't happen because everything becomes mired in legality, which has happened with others. I don't believe that that sort of a process will serve anybody. So to that end, I've asked my department to come back to me with options which provide a mechanism to address the questions that the families have, but do it in a way that gets them answers in a timely manner. I'll respond in a minute.
Minister, I think we'll all agree that there was fundamental mistakes made during that period. It was unprecedented what had happened to Ireland and across the world in relation to a pandemic that we've never seen in our lifetime. And what the relatives will want to know, and I think they deserve to know, is what happened in relation to their relatives in their last weeks or days. I just can't comprehend a situation where your mother, your father is in a nursing home that has no access to their loved ones. There's a situation of panic in some guises. And I think in that situation, I think it wardens a robust inquiry, wherever you want to call it, a review, a public inquiry. I think a public inquiry is warranted in relation to the factors on why so many deaths took place in a nursing home environment. I think that's the question at hand, Minister. And we can call it wherever we want. And I understand, because inquiries have a really bad history in this country in relation to being completely kind of dragged out. But I think the relatives of those that died deserve at least some answers.
Thanks, Deputy. The relatives of those who died deserve the truth, and that ultimately is what they're seeking, and they have every right to that. We have to deal with the reality in this country of what happens when you set up public inquiries. What tends to happen is everyone involved goes and gets lawyers. They go straight to the High Court and they get injunctions stating that they cannot be questioned, they cannot have their good name damaged, and you end up in a very legalistic process. And that's why we've had things like tribunals in the past, and unfortunately we know from many of those that they've gone on for years and they don't always do what the people who matter in them want, which is provide them with the truth. And they can take years and have a huge stress on people's lives. A model that we've seen that I think worked very well on cervical check, for example, was bringing in Dr. Scally. That wasn't a public inquiry, but I think it's fair to say that most of us in here certainly thought that it worked and it delivered. Maybe not everything that everyone wanted, but it delivered a lot, and critically it did it quickly.
Yeah, Minister, thanks for that. I do agree with you what you don't want is a very kind of dragged out process where at the end of the day the people that are enriched really are barristers and solicitors and so forth. That's what we don't want. And obviously the Special Oireachtas Committee on this issue recommended that a public inquiry should take place. Now, I think that had a lot of respect. It was very kind of thorough in its kind of investigation in relation to particularly the first 14 months. I think the other question that has to be answered is that the composition of nursing homes in Ireland. 20 years ago, it was 80% public. Now it's reversed. I think that composition is very unhealthy, and it would seem that private nursing homes were not equipped for this outbreak that basically, killed at least over 1,000 people in the first 14 months, only in that environment. So there was systematic mistakes made in relation to all the deaths that took place.
House. And I have committed, and I'm happy to repeat the commitment today. They are seeking answers to what happened to their loved ones, and they have every right to that. The difficulty we all face as legislators in this one example is we all know that there are multiple court cases ongoing. So a voluntary process is very difficult, because I imagine those who you would want to be involved would take legal advice to say, you're in court, therefore don't participate in anything. So therefore, what do? We potentially move to a statutory investigation. Again, it's something that can be looked at, but we all just need to be very clear ourselves. We know that those statutory inquiries often, as Deputy Kenny said, tend to enrich one group of people and do not get answers for the people who matter most. And I am trying to find some mechanism that delivers for the families without it taking years of their lives and potentially failing them, which a formal statutory inquiry could result in if we get it wrong.